today's hot sheet, I'm discussing NAR's report on the newly passed tax bill, the big, beautiful one, the job openings and labor turnover survey, and ADP Employment Report. We've got mortgage applications for the past week as well. Today is Wednesday, July 2, 2025. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Live from Connecticut, not quite a big, beautiful day here. A little rain, might get more beautiful in the afternoon. Looks like a beautiful weekend up here in the Northeast for the 4th. Hope it's going to be beautiful where you are. I know my friends down in Florida might see some rain. Let us know where you're tuning in from, where you're going to be on the 4th. We're going to end the week strong. We're doing hot sheet today and tomorrow, so going right into the holiday with a full week of the hot sheet. It's the only show on the internet that gives you a 24-hour look back on housing Monday through Thursday when the markets are open for real estate professionals. Free, simple way to support the show. And the BAM YouTube channel is subscribe down below. Hit the notification bell. Share it with a real estate professional who could benefit from it. The big news yesterday, economic. We got a bunch to go through. We got obviously unemployment and we got mortgage applications. And we've had a downward momentum on the 10-year and the 30 years. That's still the case here today, as we had the big economic news yesterday. The Senate actually made adjustments to this big, beautiful bill. The House recently passed it, went to the Senate. They kicked it around for a while. They fought and, argued and cried, and Elon made X posts, and Trump fought back on Truth Social, and the whole thing, a whole bunch of kids in Washington, D.C., arguing about what toy they're going to play with next, spending your money, and went through the Senate. They made adjustments. Some senators got what they wanted. Other ones didn't. You know the game. It was a 51-50 vote. J.D. Vance, vice president, had to be the tiebreaker. We've heard that story before. And the Senate has passed this tax bill. And there's a lot in it, obviously. I don't think everybody knows everything that's in it. We'll probably find out years down the road. There's a lot of the campaign promises, obviously, that are in this bill, including a huge tax relief or extending, the tax cuts. That'll be, something that will flow through the economy. If taxes go up 68%, that'll flow through the economy too, negatively. But we're going to just break down specifically what this Senate version that they passed yesterday means for real estate. Okay. There are, and there have been the entire time, major wins for real estate. We'll break them down. Okay. Now, I'm not advocating for how much deficit, how much to the deficit this bill's adding. There's obviously one camp that says, hey, one way to get out of the deficit is to outgrow it. There's a camp that believes this bill can fuel American growth, fuel GDP. Okay, that is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is we're just not going to grow at a high enough level to make up for what we're adding to the deficit. I think, and I've been clear on this, I think the deficit is at an insane level. I think it's one of the reasons why we're seeing, an out of whack spread. It's one of the reasons we're seeing an elevated 10-year, and rates are going to stay high. Our debt's unattractive. Okay. Now we do need rates to come lower to make the debt a little bit more attractive. It's kind of a weird game, the whole thing. All right. But U.S. Senate passed on Tuesday this sweeping tax reform legislation. This is the bill, the big, beautiful bill you've heard about. Okay. Now there are major real estate provisions that are packed into this deal. Okay. And these provisions were championed by the National Association of Realtors. Okay. Now, NAR, one of two biggest lobbyists in DC. Okay. If you know me, you watch the Real Word Pod or some of my other I'm critical of NAR. I think when it comes to marketing, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to speaking direct to members, when it comes to creating, confidence with members that the board is competent, I've got a lot of question marks. I'm highly critical of the office in Chicago and DC when it comes to NAR. I think they get a lot of things wrong. I think 50 million plus to Havas Media Group every single year for bad commercials and for a brand that they've been hanging on to for decades, the Realtor brand, the PIN, doesn't resonate with consumers. Customers don't care. They don't get it. They don't know if Realtor, whatever the heck they call it, if it's any different between agent, broker, or whatever. Okay, they don't get it. It's a losing battle. They've been doing the same thing for 30 years, trying to convince the public that Realtor means something. People know what CPA means, okay? People know if you go to, if you get your law degree and your attorney, they know what that means, okay? One of the reasons Realtor doesn't have any allure in the consumer's mind is it's really easy to obtain, okay? You pay a couple $100 and you're in. And that's if you went to a handful of hours in your state. And so like consumers like, man, get a law degree, it's 8 years. Like, yeah, that name resonates. It means something. So that kind of stuff NAR doesn't do well. The one thing I've always said NAR does really well, they're special at it, they're phenomenal, is lobbying in DC. Okay, if they're going to make advocacy happen, I think it's the only thing they should focus on, advocacy. Go check out the interview I did with James Dwiggins here on the channel. If you haven't checked that out, it's worth 30 minutes of your time. You can get it in less than 30, on 1.5x speed. He had a great way to fix the association, get homeowners involved. I loved it. Okay. But I think advocacy, and James agrees with this, it's a conversation we had, it's the top of the list. That's what they should do. They meaning NAR. And so when NAR advocates for wins like the one I'm going to share with you here, it's a meaningful effort. Okay. It's something that, that really matters. It protects consumers. Okay. We got this whole argument. Who's protecting consumers? Compass. It's silly. Okay. When NAR advocates at Congress for consumers, they've done the best job of protecting consumers. And I don't think anybody can argue with that. Okay. Shannon McGain, who's the vice president and chief advocacy officer at NAR, the most important person at NAR. We've worked for months to educate Congress through original NAR research, analysis, and polling to demonstrate the value and broad support for many of the real estate provisions in this bill. Okay, so you're going to put together a big, beautiful bill. NAR says, hey, we want some of the things, just like that senator from Alaska said, hey, I want stuff for Alaska. Totally, I get it, fighting for her state. You may live in Maryland and say, I don't care about Alaska. I get it, but she did a good job fighting for her state. And that's why these bills are so hard to pass, right? You got to get over 50 votes and you need agreement, and everybody's coming from a different state. NAR comes in and says, hey, this is what we want for the real estate industry. I love that we have that. Congressional leaders were receptive to our message. Our team had many conversations, and they thanked us for the public support and providing the data they needed to support these provisions. Here are the provisions. NAR's top 5 real estate wins. There's more, but this is what NAR says. Here's our top 5 wins in the big old beautiful bill. A permanent extension of lower individual tax rates. Okay. Now that has implications beyond just real estate. But this extension, don't kid yourself, the extension of the tax cut, like who's going to volunteer for their taxes to go up on January 1, 68%. I don't love the bill, but I do, like, there are pros in it. This isn't political. This is obvious. I don't want my taxes going up 68%. I think Byron Lazine, can do better with my money than the government, no matter who's in control. I just believe that. You're a professional. Most listening to the show right now are independent contractors, real estate professionals. running a business. I believe in you and your ability to impact your community more than handing money over to the government. The guy in New York City, he wants government grocery stores. Tell me how that'll work out. So I believe in the entrepreneurs, and I believe in you and your ability to do better with your money. And NAR believes in the same thing, a permanent extension of lower individual tax rates. That only doesn't impact real estate, it impacts the entire economy. There's a chance 26 could be a boom year. And this is one of the reasons why. This is one of the reasons why the market has been favorable over the last couple of weeks when there's a lot of signals that suggest it shouldn't. Well, if this tax rate gets extended, a permanent extension of this lower tax rate, you better believe there's going to be more money flowing around the system next year and into the end of this year. The market's already reflecting that and pricing it in. Number two, an enhanced and permanent qualified business income deduction. This is big, okay? Talk to your CPA. Everybody here is a real estate business owner. That's a big one. Temporary 5-year quadrupling of the state local tax SALT deduction cap beginning for 2025. Now, I heard that this maybe isn't as good as the original House plan. It's this now plan. The amendments have gone back to House. There's some House members who are saying, hey, we like our plan better. There's a theoretical deadline, not a real deadline, but a deadline that the Trump administration would like to have this thing signed by Friday, July 4th, kind of like a theatrical celebration going into the holiday. It doesn't need to get signed by then. Problem is Congress likes to take July off, and so kind of pushes this closer to the end of the year. Of course, the tax thing, number one, this has got to get solved before the end of the year. Has to, okay? Or you're talking about a doom scenario for 26. I think the bill could be better. I think everybody probably wants everything like a lower deficit. I do too. You're just not going to get that through Congress because again, you need 50 plus votes, and they are addicted to spending money. Protection for business SALT deductions and 1031 like-kind exchanges. If you're an investment, if you work with investors, the market would have gotten crushed if this doesn't get protected. Okay, 1031s. If you do deals like this, maybe personally or with your clients, that's a huge win. And then a permanent extension of mortgage interest deduction. Okay, these provisions from the backbone of the real estate economy, from supporting first-time and first-generation buyers to strengthening investment in housing supply and protecting existing homeowners, McGann says, they form the backbone. She says real estate makes up nearly 1/5 of the entire U.S. economy. I've often known the number as 17%. So yeah, there you go. 1/5. And that's what we all do. We make up 1/5 of the U.S. economy. And I would argue that if you want to do real estate Reagan economics, the trickle down effect of real estate is greater than 1/5. If we can increase transactions, we're at the lowest levels of transactions since the financial recovery. If we have a rate that gets closer to 6 or high 5s next year, love to see it. If that happens and transactions go up, who benefits? So many in the economy. Okay. More transactions come in, more people moving, more people setting up subscriptions, gyms, cleaners, movers, handymen, plumbers, all of it. So many people, so many businesses. When a real estate transaction takes place, get a phone call. Okay. How many things on your house or, locally even are running on subscription? Everything I want to do, whether it's here in Connecticut or down in Naples, like I want an IV drip. Well, it's better to do a subscription. It's not going to be my last one. Okay. I'll be getting one. You laugh, Haley. I'll be getting one on Tuesday when I'm back in Naples for a day, when I get my hair cut. By the way, my barber said to me, my barber says, hey, we're thinking about doing a subscription price. I said, enough, no more subscriptions. I can't have my barber doing subscriptions. Real estate makes up nearly 1/5 of the entire U.S. economy. And they have made sure, meaning NAR, policymakers understood homeownership's essential component of building a well-strong, prosperous middle class. Listen, this is, if you want to say there's any win of your NAR dues, that's the win, okay? It's NAR going in there and making sure that this bill protects the industry. Low-income housing tax credit, key provisions from LIHTC Improvement Act are included on a permanent basis to support affordable housing development. Child tax credit increased to $2,200. Permanent estate and gift tax threshold set at $15 million. No increase to the top tax rate, and restoration of key business provisions. Okay. Listen, no increase to the top individual tax rate. Okay. And, you know, I know the guy in New York City doesn't like that, but this is a good thing for the economy. Okay. Trust me, we don't want to be the next London or Toronto. Restoration of key business provisions, full expensing of research and development, bonus depreciation, fixes to the interest expense deduction limit, immediate expensing for certain industrial structures, applies to facilities, manufacturing, refining, agriculture. No changes to carried interest rules, and strengthened opportunity zones. Okay. So there you go. There are the key highlights for the major wins, as NAR puts it, for real estate. Now, Senate has passed this. Okay. They made, though, changes to the previously passed House version. Okay. And so this goes back to the House. Right now, the House Republicans are, listen, we know anytime these bills go back and forth, you don't have a lot of bipartisan. So the Republicans have the majority in the House, but they don't have full agreement. So they're racing now to get agreement. As of this morning, Speaker Johnson does not have the votes. And so there's probably there's a self-imposed July 4th deadline. There's probably not a high likelihood that this goes through, but we've seen crazy things. Maybe it does. Obviously, now they're going to have kind of 2 days before everybody goes on vacation. Who's the guy in Pennsylvania? I love him. The Democrat in Pennsylvania, Fetterman. He's like, I just want to go on vacation. Okay. Now, I don't love the mindset that the people that we're paying, only want to be on vacation, but you got to laugh. I mean, the guy's about as real as it gets when it comes to like where he's really feeling. Here's something interesting before we move on, just on the greater economy while we're on it. Nick Timmeros, Wall Street Journal, says yesterday, Wall Street Journal now expects a better than even chance that the Fed's first rate cut in September. They previously had this thing projected for December. So they're now saying December, followed by cuts at the last two meetings of the year. So Goldman Sachs is now calling for 75 basis points this year, 3 cuts. Okay. That's an increased projection. The very early evidence suggests that the tariff effects, this is huge. I've been saying this. Jerome Powell hasn't been. He needs to get with it. Inflation seems licked. Okay. The tariff boogeyman is not as big as partisan. Okay. People analyzing this from a partisan viewpoint have tried to make it out to be. The early evidence suggests that the tariff effects took a bit smaller than we expected. Other disinflationary forces have been stronger. And this is a quote from Goldman Sachs. We suspect that the Fed leadership shares our view that tariffs will only have a one-time price level impact. Well, I mean, do they share the view? Because what has Jerome Powell consistently said? He's consistently said, we got to wait and see until yesterday. Yesterday, Jerome Powell, I saw a comment from him saying, well, it's looking more like, this inflation impact, and we're going to have to, isn't going to be as big as we thought. And we may have to start talking about a September cut. He made that statement yesterday. Okay. So appears as there's more alignment here with a September cut. Not only is that what Goldman Sachs is now projecting, but they're also projecting that there will be 2 additional cuts. So Jerome Powell says it yesterday. Goldman Sachs says it. Seems to be more momentum in a cut, and now 3 coming before the end of the year. As it relates to the Fed chair, Bassett, Secretary of Treasury, said to Bloomberg, obviously there are people who are currently at the Fed who are under consideration. Think Waller. He didn't say that, but I'm saying that. And on Fed policy, having failed the American people in 2022 by misjudging inflation, they seem a little frozen at the wheel here. All right, Jerome Powell and the Fed shouldn't wait till September. They should cut in July. They should have cut recently. I agree with Scott Bassett. They failed in 2022 by waiting too long to increase, and now they're probably failing again, being frozen at the wheel. That makes a ton of sense. The betting markets, first, Poly Market says now 79% chance that a July cut, but they're up to 60% for September. And then CME Group is at a 75% no change, 25% ease. That's high for CME Group. So there is some chance we'll see a July cut, 28 days away. We'll see what happens between now and then. A lot of it, the decision around the Fed, is going to rely solely on what happens with the job market. Okay, so we've got a couple of reports here. We've got a new release from the Bureau of Labor Statistics for the month of May. Job openings and labor turnover. The number of job openings, little change, 7.8 million in May. Now, there's job openings at 7.8 million. I talked about this on Knowledge Brokers podcast recently. If you're hiring, you know what I know. There's a strong job market if you're an employer. Okay, a lot of options. Okay, we've recently been interviewing at the team in Connecticut, and I'll tell you what, there is a lot of people looking for a job right now. Okay, so there's 7.8 million openings. There's a lot of interest. People that have jobs but looking for another job. There's a lot of that right now. A lot of options, good options, and some not so good options, but a lot of good options. Okay, and you really are in a position of strength as the employer in this job market. At least that's the anecdotal case that I'm seeing. 7.8 million job openings in May. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported over the month, both hires and total separations were little change, 5.5 and 5.2 million respectively. So little change here in JOLTS. Okay, so we need labor to turn. Labor is going to have to turn if the Fed's going to make an adjustment for July, right? Jerome Powell said yesterday, we're thinking September. Maybe it's becoming more obvious that the tariff boogeyman that all my friends in Chevy Chase, Maryland convinced me of, all my partisan friends that wanted me to take it out on the Trump administration, maybe tariffs aren't going to be as bad. We got 2 months of hard data that inflation's gone down when tariffs have been in effect. There's trade deals happening. So remember, tariffs are a light switch. They're not forever. It's not a tattoo. Okay, you can remove them. And that's kind of what we've seen with some of these deal makings. And so really, the only thing, if Powell's going to stick to that, though, that the tariff boogeyman's going to jump out and ruin the economy, well, the only thing that's going to make a move between now and July is a softening labor market. Well, we've got more hard data that the labor market's not really softening. Okay, little changed in May. Let's go to ADP. ADP's report might be different. Okay, expectations that we had a U.S. private employment increase for June. Expectations were going to be that this number was plus 100,000. This number comes in here today at negative 33,000. Okay, private employers, job losses in professional and business services and education and health services led a decline. Okay, it was an expectation that it'd be plus 100,000. Leisure, hospitality, manufacturing showed gains. Professional, business service, education, health services were the decline leaders. Layoffs, Neela Richardson, chief economist, ADP, she says layoffs continue to be rare. A hesitancy to hire and a reluctance to replace departing workers led to job losses last month. But there's a slowdown in hiring. Okay, listen, like I said about the job market, employers are in a position of strength. I can go find a hire any week right now. I'm hiring slow. Okay, I'm being selective. Okay, I mean, the last couple of years before Doge was a thing, I was doging both of my businesses. Real estate's been in a recession since 22. Okay, you got to think practically, and I think there's a lot of employers doing the same thing. I mean, look at what these big tech companies are doing. Okay, they're moving slow when it comes to hiring. They're moving fast when it comes to AI integration in their employees. Okay, that's the game right now. Okay, how do I make my employees' life better by giving them more tools with AI and make the employee more productive, making the company more productive? Change in U.S. private employment still at a peak level in the last 15 years. By establishment size, 500 plus employees moved up 30,000. And small companies all on the move down, mid-size moved up. And there you go. This ADP report's interesting. I think we've got more jobs data coming. Obviously, weekly unemployment will come tomorrow. We'll cover it. We're doing the hot sheet tomorrow, day before the holiday break. We're in it. But private sector, the headlines are gonna read like this: 33,000 jobs lost, badly missing expectations. Private sector hiring unexpectedly contracted in June. And so this is hiring. Remember, tomorrow we'll get unemployment for the week. It's a potential sign that the economy may not be as sturdy as investors believe. Think about it. What have we seen all week? Investors are like, wow, the stock market's hitting, all-time highs over the past week. Stock market likes the news out of the Middle East. The stock market, no matter what you like, they like the big beautiful bill. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of money in the short term. Speaking of the stock market today, ADP comes out, and the stock market is in fact little changed. Okay, this is kind of flat for the Dow. S&P's moving flat, and Nasdaq's actually up. So there you go. Investors still seemingly pretty optimistic with where confidence is, builder confidence, consumer confidence. Don't listen to partisan analysts. They'll have you scared out of your mind. Okay, you'll be sleeping under the bed instead of under the covers. They're crazy, but follow the money. Okay, investors they're investing. They think money's coming off the sidelines. Okay, and we'll see what happens with unemployment tomorrow. Let's take a look today at where we're at with the mortgage applications. Okay, mortgage applications, another signal that as rates continue to move down, we're near year-to-date lows. And it's been trending that way for a couple of weeks now. As these rates come down, the future looks really strong that we could see a bump up from the bottom basement floor level we've seen on existing home sales. Okay, purchase index, the one we care about for buyers, it moved down 0.1% from week earlier. That's flat. That's like the stock market today. It's a sideways move. And this time of year, coming into a holiday, I take that as a week over week positive. This time of year, you see this number traditionally go down. It moves sideways. That's a win. The bigger win is now 22 straight weeks that the purchase index is higher than the same week a year ago. Okay, 16% higher than the same week a year ago, 22 straight weeks. There is going to be more buyers going into 2026 than there has been the last 3 years if rates continue to move down. Mortgage rates were lower across all loan types. And last week's level was 679, lowest level since April. Yesterday, we ended at 6.67. Decline prompted an increase in refinance applications. That it bumped up 10% increase in conventional applications, 20% VA. Joel Kahn, MBA, vice president, deputy chief economist. And if we take a deeper look at kind of where we're at overall over time here on the chart, members, all you got to do, BAMX members, just jump into school. If you want any of this data, give you all the data I use in the Hot Sheet Show and the Hot Sheet Classroom for BAMX members. Just upload everything I use right here for you. If you take a look at kind of where we're at on the grand scale, yeah, we're still at the lowest level on purchase applications since the recovery and since 95. Okay. That being said, we're on the upward trajectory to get back into normal levels. You got to go up. We have 22 straight weeks of going up. Future is considerably brighter than it's been at any point over the last 3 years when Jerome Powell put real estate into a recessionary time with his late response to inflation. 6.67 2 days in a row now on the 30-year fixed. Today, the 10-year coming in at about where we've been, just under 4.3, 4.293 is where we're at. These are low levels for the last 30 days. And little changed here with this ADP news. I think maybe the market may have, we'll see where unemployment comes in tomorrow. But there you go. That's your hot sheet for today. We've got for members, Chris Benjamin, and Tessa Bella. Tessa. I mean, not Tessa Bella on IG. I don't know if that's really her last name. Tessa.
It's not her last name. It's her full name.
That's her full name. Tessa Bella. Sorry, Tessa. My apologies. I should know that. Tessa and Chris Benjamin. You know, yesterday, Haley, I got some. So the Real Word podcast goes up yesterday. So this will be if you're an agent and you're really into the industry stuff, we talk about that on the Real Word podcast here on the channel. Yesterday, I was talking about the Compass Zillow thing. You know, I stay away from that here on the hot sheet. We just kind of focus on the economy and whatnot. But on the Real Word, I'm talking about the Compass Zillow stuff. And I say, hey, you can go watch it, but I'm basically talking about how can you claim antitrust on Zillow when you got Homes.com spending $1 billion. They're sending brochures to all your sellers right now. Like check your seller's mailbox. They're sending brochures, Homes.com, and encouraging your sellers to boost their own listing that you have listed. Okay. Redfin exists. Realtor.com exists. Compass. Are you saying your website's insignificant? And so I get a lot of comments. It's antitrust. And I get a comment that says, I wonder how many BAM are Zillow Flex members. It's less than half. I comment, it's less than half. Chris Benjamin and Tessa, not Zillow Flex members. They both run phenomenal businesses. BAM is not, BAM is not some promoter of Zillow. I call it how I see it. Other people have different opinions than me. That's fine. We can all still be friends. Don't get your realtor tears flowing because I think that this lawsuit is silly. You can have a different opinion. I've got no problem with that. I've got absolutely no problem with it. It'll play out in court. I think it's a silly argument. If Compass wants to run their business model, I got no problem with that. And if Zillow wants to run their business model, I got no problem with that. Crying anti-competition in real estate is a pathetic viewpoint. It's a weak viewpoint. There's nothing anti-competitive about real estate. It's one of the most competitive industries in the world, as Gary Ashton would say about his number one Remax team. But anyways, Tessa and Chris Benjamin today, office hours, two non-Zillow people, okay, are talking about how to attract business, how to have a waterfall of business from one piece of content. That's BAMX members, just school.com/BAMX. That'll be, by the way, all the internal BAMX stuff You just go to the calendar inside of school here, and that'll be 4:30 Eastern time, 1:30 on the Pacific Coast. So jump into that. And then if you're looking for our third big major virtual event of the year, it's BAM BBQ. It's July 16th. So 2 weeks from today, exactly 2 weeks out, we've got 3 major CEOs dropping the heat and the value this summer. 2 weeks from today, totally free. These things fill up. They max out. So if you want to reserve your spot, register now, totally free, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern, 9 to 11 Pacific time, 2 weeks from today, July 16th. Ryan Serhant, Leo Pereira, and Scott Harris. Scott Harris is the CEO of Experience.com. You may know Ryan Serhant's name and Leo Pereira's name and say, yeah, I don't know Scott Harris. You're going to walk away from this thing saying, I want more from Scott Harris. The dude's so dynamic. I've got to spend some time with him. I'm really looking forward to the conversation he's bringing, how AI is changing which real estate agents win online. The guy's got so much data with Experience.com. He's going to blow everyone's mind and give you some free tips on this whole event's free. Give you some free tips on how you can position yourself. Myself and Eric, the broker agent, will obviously be moderating that. BAMBBQ.live to sign up. And then our only in-person event here of the year is going to be in Scottsdale, September 24th. BAMCamp.live if you want to sign up for that. VIP basically sold out, mid-tier over halfway sold, and then there's general admission. Check that out. September 24th, BAMCamp.live. That's an in-person event, BAMBBQ.live, free virtual in 2 weeks. There you go. There's the recap there. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the 4th and final hot sheet of the week before we jump into the 4th of July holiday. Until then, have a great day. And of course, toodaloo.